Replay value isn't the most important metric to judge a game for me. I don't know how most people feel about it, but I think there's some consensus that the first playthrough of a game is the most important one. In From's other...
Now, yes, obviously there isn't anything wrong with this clip from Anderson's video essay or the essay as a whole, but I have something to talk about anyways. So I was happily there, sitting there listening to Joseph Anderson's latest video, his Elden Ring review, a shattered masterpiece, but very randomly, something irked me, and I thought it would make a good short little rant video. Rant is a strong word. I'm not trying to, I don't feel particularly negative about this, but this is something I think most people could spend to think about a little more. Anderson, in criticizing Elden Ring's replay value and expressing his views on the limited scope of the game's exploration appeal, as it can only appeal in the first playthrough, things I similarly criticized, or brought up, at least in my Elden Ring review. In fact, our complaints, me and Anderson's across the board, are so similar with the game. The main difference between Anderson's position and mine on Elden Ring is that I had a couple more specific criticisms of, the controls and aspects of the combat design, and this particular topic, which we're going to talk about. It's all about discovery, baby. The first-time experience. Anderson somewhat offhandedly mentioned that there is general consensus that the first playthrough is the most important. And this was his attitude towards the subject. I don't want to act like I'm taking something out of context. This is generally what he implied a lot of the place. He valued the surprise and the wonder of exploring the new game for the first time and felt that the magic faded rather quickly on his second and third runs of it. The reason I didn't talk about this very much, except for one or two mentions of the fact that exploration appeal is limited to whenever you stop discovering things, which is mostly going to be on your second playthrough, except for minor things that you stumble across that you didn't see in your first playthrough, obviously, but yeah. The reason I didn't talk about it more than just a slight mention is because I think it's kind of a given, like it's obvious. I gave a bunch of reasons for why I don't like open-world games, but I only kind of brushed over how the appeals of open-world games mean very little to me. I don't care very much about discovery. I don't care about exploration. I don't care about the feeling of untapped potential people see when they see the breadth of choices at their disposal in a new, unexplored game. I just don't give a shit, man. I have a video I made several years ago called Why I Don't Care About Spoilers, and this is going to be the same idea. All of my arguments in that video still hold firm and remain logically sound and whatever. I agree with all of them still. To paraphrase, I think that your first experience with any media is very volatile and temperamental. I don't think it's a good metric to judge something's quality off of, because there are infinite things that can impact your first experience or any experience outside of the creator's influence. You can be in a bad mood, think of certain things randomly this way, and have it compound your thought process in one way or another. We have unreasonable expectations of something for no good reason and get disappointed when it's doesn't go in the direction we expected it to. There's so many things moment to moment that can impact the fun that you're having with something, or beyond the actual content you're consuming, things that are probably unfair. Expectations and hype and all that shit, they all affect you, and if you think about it, you can probably think of media in your life that you've originally consumed and you felt one way about it, but then you consumed it later on, maybe a couple years later, or in a different environment or a different headspace or whatever, and you felt differently. Your experience is really fucking volatile and untrustworthy. There are obvious merits to saying the first experience is important. You can't be surprised by a twist in a plot again, or any surprising all elements of surprise cease to exist once you know what will happen in advance. The more you consume the same thing, the more bored of it you'll be, obviously, as well, assuming you don't find, new ways to get enjoyment and intrigue out of it. Elden Ring is undoubtedly the most fun on its first playthrough, because I agreed, like I said, I agreed with most of Anderson's points. I think the exploration value is the strongest aspect of the game, and that is most apparent in the first playthrough. Fun does not mean most important, though. Saying it's the most fun playthrough is not the same as it being the most important playthrough. So everything I just said, that's all true, but at the same time, my criticisms of the first experience are also true. The part where I think my position on this pulls ahead in this argument for me is the matter of the self. Your own identity relative to the media that you consume. Why do you get bothered when someone else dislikes media that you like? It's because it's part of your identity now. You consider yourself a fan of something. You have an attachment. You have a relationship with that media. Take something you've consumed and thought about and talked about with your friends for years and years, met new fans, whatever. Would you really give all that up, all of your relationship with this that you've built up with this media, everything you understand about it after so much thought and extra thought, extra consideration, every little thing that has entered your head about this media since you first consumed it? Any media you have any close relationship with, you have a shitload to talk about and think about. You didn't get that way overnight, man. You did not get this relationship from one fucking playthrough of a game and nothing else. You played it more. You talked about it. You watched videos on it. You chatted on forums about it. You directly and indirectly consumed the media over and over and over for a long fucking time. That's how you have your current mental perception of it, right? Do you really want to throw all that away? Because when I hear people say something like, I wish I could get my memory wiped and experience it for the first time again, because the first time is the most important, obviously, it just bugs me. I understand what people mean. They're obviously not meaning the thing that I'm saying that it means, but yeah, a lot of the time, a first-time experience with something is fun. Yeah, it's totally fun, but I think that people are really failing to see the value of all of the consumption and all of the extra thought that they put into it after the fact. Like, this is what baffles me, right? Like, Joseph Anderson is a video essay writer, right? He makes video essays like I and plenty of other people do. Usually us writers and reviewers, we value our brains, our thoughts, our opinions on media. We like thinking about it and talking about it. We like our current perceptions and understandings of all the things we've thought about. To say something like, oh, I wish I could go get all of that released, get my memory wiped, and just experience it for the first time again. Like, really? Think about it. You really care that little about all the thoughts and all the ideas and understanding you've developed around this game. You'd throw it all that work and mental development away for a few hours of shallow entertainment for a thrill? I think people need to appreciate their current relationship with media a lot more. People need to recognize how much thought they put into something and love themselves and be proud of how intimately they become acquainted with the media, how much they understand about it, their perception of the game and whatever media has developed so much more than it was just from beating it the first time. I think people are too obsessed with the experience of playing a game, and they forget that what sticks with you after you put down the controller is not so fickle and surface level. Then again, I'm not here to tell people to do things my way. Thrills are fun, and I get that. I'm not saying I don't understand. It just seemed like a bit of a shock here that a writer like Joseph Anderson would say such a thing. Like, his own video, his review, this Elden Ring review, he must have put a lot of time and effort into it, right? This review is a product of continuing to consume it and think about it and interact with Elden Ring long after the first playthrough. How can he make that video but still think that a first playthrough is the most important? This video that he made, this essay, is a product. All the thoughts and things that he has, does he value his opinions and what he is putting out to other people, to his audience and such? Because those are all products of more than the first playthrough, of everything after the first playthrough. It's probably just a semantics thing. I'm sure no one is actually, wrong in this situation. There's no, crimes being committed against reality or anything. But I think that a lot of people really consider, they don't really consider this aspect of the discussion. So I'm taking my stand. I'm going to spread the good word. All your playthroughs, everything that advance all your thoughts around something, everything that advances your current idea and perception of the media you consume, it's all valuable because it all develops how you currently think about something. That's about it. See it.